On a day in which there was really nothing to talk about on Sunday, Monday was very different. We've got 4 big stories to discuss. And in today's show, I'm joined by a special guest for today's Arsenal News Show. I never mess up intros. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys and girls for another episode of what is indeed the Arsenal News Show, our weekly episode, daily episode, in fact. I'm for some reason, my brain's not working. It's because I'm doing this at 9 o'clock or 7 o'clock UK time this evening, rather than the usual 8 a.m. This is a pre-recorded episode because as you watch this, I'll be at St Pancras Station preparing to go to the Eurostar ahead of the trip to Belgium, where Arsenal will be facing Club Brugge in the UEFA Champions League match day 6 of the league phase. And I'm very happy to be joined for our special pre-recorded episode, as I'm always joined by a guest for these, by Mr. John. How you doing, mate? You good, you well?
Yeah, good. It's really speckle to be here again on your podcast. It's always a fun time chatting with you. So it's been a while.
Yes. It's been a little while. We obviously had the joy of seeing one another earlier this season.
At the Palace match.
It was the Crystal Palace game, wasn't it? Earlier in the season, a lot of the American Gooners came over for that game, and we re-established. People would have seen the picture that we uploaded online. Some of the TGT OGs, your fine self, Ola. And Mike, of course, Mike Feinberg, and it was great to kind of reunite and share some food and drinks, and we had a lovely time. But tell me what you've been up to, because I know that you've been doing some podcasting, and you want to do more podcasting as well.
Yeah. I'm kind of going to start something, working on it. So I was on another podcast with Drew, which is another TGT OG.
Of course.
And we've kind of have that one's kind of slowed down. So I don't know. Things are in the works. We'll watch the space, as they say.
Indeed. John's also one of the few people that has his own emoji on the channel as well, which people can still use. So if you're live in the chat box now, you can actually use the 305 cast, which you still use as your X handle, which I think is great. Just that it's still there.
It's so good. It's so good.
It is a good picture. But yes, thank you, listeners, for tuning in. I hope you are doing good and well, and you'll drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, all that usual lovely stuff. You can find John on X at 305cast. So give him a follow there. And of course, for those that have been listening, perhaps since John was a regular on our back in the day Sunday podcast, which we used to do just one show a week back in the day. It's amazing how things change. But we're back on a Monday evening recording for Tuesday morning show. As I said, there's a few things to discuss. I want to discuss for you the first news, which is the news that's most recently broken, which is that Arsenal have drawn Portsmouth in the third round of the FA Cup. The first time in quite a long time that Arsenal haven't been drawn against another Premier League team. We were knocked out last season by Manchester United. We've drawn against the likes of Liverpool, against Manchester City. I think most recently, the last time we drew a lower division side was Oxford away several years ago. It was one of the first away games that I covered on my own as a journalist as well. It shows you how long it's actually been. But John, what's your reaction to that draw? And certainly one that will allow some rotation, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I absolutely think it's a good draw. And I think that it's we need a little bit of luck going our way in some of these competitions, because it could have been a lot worse. I mean, who else were we looking at potentially? We were looking at
Liverpool away,
City away, Chelsea Liverpool away, City away, Chelsea away. It would have been that could have been a nightmare. So when you look at a season and doing well on different fronts in a season, you really have to have a little bit of luck on your side sometimes. With injuries and stuff has really not gone our way. There was a bit of luck this weekend though, in that after our loss to Aston Villa,
everyone other than
Salah decided that he was going to absolutely lose his mind at the perfect time for us, so no one's talking about us right now, which is great. So, but in terms of this draw, it's obviously very good for us, even away. It's going to be a really cool day out, and I expect to get a lot of rotation in the squad for that one. So we're going to get to see a lot of players, hopefully like Nwaneri we'll get to see and those guys. So I'm looking forward to that.
A chance maybe for Ethan Nwaneri, as you mentioned, to get a start. I recorded the episode today with John Cross, our Seeing Red Arsenal podcast, episode 4. just dropped yesterday with this going out on Tuesday. So if you haven't, listeners, caught up on that, please do. And we spent a little bit of time on that talking about Nwaneri. So I want to get kind of your thoughts on this, because I think he's a player that obviously we rate incredibly highly and has found it very difficult to get a lot of minutes this season. I understand that he was pretty close to leaving Arsenal, I think, in the summer. Arsenal convinced him to sign a new contract, and since signing that new deal has been rewarded by playing less than 500 minutes of football so far. So what are your reactions to Nwaneri and his situation at the moment?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and I think, and it is a bit of a concern just because he's such a talented player, and we all rate him so highly, and Hail End Kid, and all of that emotional stuff that we have. I wonder how much of it was related to the Odegaard injury, what I mean. Yeah, I think Eze probably was not looking to be in that central role as much as he was this season. As great as Trossard's been, I would imagine that he wouldn't have been that first choice on the left side. I imagine it would have probably been something that was against Villa, where we had Eze on one side, Saka on the other side, and then Odegaard in the middle, to get all three of those on the pitch at the same time. And if that were the case, I'd imagine that we would have seen Nwaneri come in a lot more, maybe for Odegaard to rest him and things like that. But again, luck, injuries. I don't know if it played out that way. So, but even then, you wonder, in that same token, you can have Nwaneri come in more often for Eze, but especially recently, Eze has been so good for us that it's kind of difficult to get him off the pitch. And it makes you wonder a little bit, at least for me, kind of the trust that the manager may have in some of the younger players. Even though they've shown that they can do it, I'm wondering what's going on. It is an odd situation to be in because he's such a talented player. He's obviously knows what it means to play for the Arsenal. So it's a weird one. But I do expect that, and maybe we know it's a big, long season with a lot of different games to be played, that he just has to be patient and earn his place and keep his head down and do the right thing, and he'll get his chances. And then the key part of all of that is to take it once you actually get the chance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a lot of the main reasons as to why Nwaneri's minutes have diminished this season is because if you want to play for Mikel Arteta, one of the biggest aspects that you need is to be able to commit in every single aspect of your on-field responsibility. So if you're a defender, he says you need to love defending. And I think that that's not exclusive to just defenders, if I'm being honest. I think that every single player in that team needs to love doing everything, tracking back, pressing. The defense starts from the front, as the old cliche goes. And Ethan Nwaneri's defensive side of his game has not progressed in the same way that his offensive side of his game has progressed. And there have been a number of times in games where he has played where he's been caught kind of walking back. I mean, from being in the press box, I've seen Arteta shout at Ethan on the sidelines and start bellowing at him and gesticulated to get back into position when Arsenal have lost possession and there's a turnover. There's times like the Burnley away game where we were 2-0 up, and he came off the bench and lost the ball on the edge of the box. And Arteta talks about how so many players kind of chased back. Ethan Nwaneri did, but was being overtaken as players were running back. And that was a little bit telling. He was quite honest and brutal about him, I think, in the Brighton League Cup game as well, where he talked about saying he tried some things, they didn't really work, but he kept going and got his goal in that game, of course, as well. It was a good finish against Brighton. Great move back here from Mikel Merino, people remember. So I think that if Ethan Nwaneri is going to succeed at Arsenal, and he'll know this because it'll be being drilled into him by the coaches, that he has to commit in every single aspect of his game. And at the moment, he's doing that about 70%. And with the 30% that's left, that's the defensive element of what he needs to do. And that'll keep him. Go on, John.
Yeah, look, this is a really difficult team to break into in any way you look at
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it really, really is. I mean, every player wants this. Every player wants to play for us right now, and there's good reason. The vibes are immaculate. Well, not really right now, but they've been immaculate for the majority of the season.
Most of the season.
Yeah, this is the place to be. So, he just, and it's difficult. There's incredible talent on this side. He's got it, though. He just needs to, he just needs to show it. Show what we all know that he's capable of, I think, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so hopefully some rotation will take place. There could be some rotation in Arsenal's Champions League game this week in Belgium, which is where, by the time some of you listen to this, I will be enjoying for the first time Bruges. I've never been there before, but I hear good things about the city. And obviously during this time of year with Christmas markets and so on, it should be even better, fingers crossed. If you've got any suggestions, don't be afraid to drop them into the chat box. I know we have a few Belgian-based listeners. But one of the news that broke also pretty recently was that they have parted ways with their manager hours before Arsenal take on the Belgian side. Nicky Hyen has left the club, and Ivan Leko has replaced him as head coach. Now, I can't say I know loads about Club Brugge. This is where we need Drew, really, to jump into the rescue at times with his knowledge of Belgian football. But they have had, absolutely. I mean, they have had some tricky results. I know that 3-3 against Barcelona stands out for people, but they're currently third in the Belgian Super League, which is not where they want to be, nor how they value themselves. They value themselves very much as, you know, the favourites every season, really, alongside Anderlecht and the likes of Genk and Ghent to go as far as they can. But they were beaten by Antwerp, another team in the Belgian league that have been going strong in recent seasons. I remember that game where I think they beat Spurs in the Europa League a few years ago, if I remember right.
That checks out.
It does, doesn't it? STVV beat them in the Belgian Pro League group stage, match day 17, 3-2 in their most recent fixture. They won away narrowly. Oud Heverlee Leuven as well. They lost at home to Antwerp the game before that and were beaten roundly 3-0 by Sporting, the Portuguese side, in the last Champions League game. And they only narrowly beat Charleroi 1-0 in the league game before that. And as I say, it leaves them sitting third. STVV actually currently second, impressively, at the moment in the Belgian league, and electing fourth. Union Saint-Gilloise currently top of that table. The likes of Ghent and Ghent sit in 7th and 8th, respectively. Antwerp down in 10th, who have kind of fallen off the pace a little bit, it seems, in Belgian football. But it's just ironic, isn't it, John, that obviously every time Arsenal play a team, it seems they want to sack their coach. So are we going to be expecting a new manager bounce?
I always expect one whenever Arsenal plays a team who just got a new manager, right? I don't know, but we kind of stepped up to the plate, like in a good way every time that's happened. Though I don't recall when was we just had another one this season.
It was Ange. We played Ange before he was sacked. Nuno. It was West Ham.
It was yeah. And so former Spurs manager. You know, there was like the writing was on the wall on that when we felt. So. I think this. I'm okay with it. I'm not worried about this new manager bounce and all that stuff. I think that obviously it would be more beneficial if they had a new manager bounce and we were at home. Yeah. But I think no matter what side we can put out, even if it's a heavily rotated one, should be able to deal with whatever they're putting out, even with a new manager. So I wonder with these kind of situations, though, right? For me, I always wonder: is it a talent/tactical thing, or is it a personality thing? Why the manager's going? Is it really just that everyone's on the same page, but the situation's so toxic behind the scenes that the second he leaves, that's the more dangerous kind of scenario, in my opinion. When that's what's happening, and it's just like that kind of cloud is gone, and now everyone can kind of express themselves. That's the new manager bounce I'm worried about, more so than a match that doesn't have enough time, I think, to really tactically change anything of any significance. So hopefully it was just, not knowing what game plan, not being tactically astute, not having any kind of situation where the manager was effectuating any kind of like football change. And it was, versus just a personality thing and everything else was running smoothly. Again, I don't watch them enough to know the answer to that. I just hope it's more of the former rather than the latter.
Absolutely. 100% agree. One player who won't be involved in the game for Arsenal against Club Brugge is Gabriel Jesus. Not because he's not fit, because actually most recently he played in a behind closed doors friendly against the Manchester United 11 at St George's Park. Max Dowman also played. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain actually played for Arsenal, amazingly so, in 2025.
Gibbs.
Chamberlain pulling on the red and white of Arsenal again, playing in that behind closed doors friendly. Dowman scored in that game. Jesus, we're unaware if he did. I don't think he did. But he did play in another behind closed doors friendly where I understand he did score against Watford, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and perhaps got an assist as well in that game. And he's fighting his way back. But, of course, he wasn't initially registered in the UEFA List A for Arsenal. Now, and I reported this story that there is a UEFA rule change this season, whereby if a club suffers a significant injury, you are able to replace a player on the list up until the 6th match day, which, of course, is this match against Club Brugge. So Arsenal had the option after Christian Mosquera's significant injury, which is expected to see him miss the next 6 to 8 weeks, to replace him with another player in the squad. Now, I'm told, and broke the story today, that Arsenal have decided not to do that. They won't be registering Gabriel Jesus for this, for whatever reason. I don't know the reason. I just know he is not being registered. Now, it was a little surprising, John, at the start of the season, that he wasn't actually registered anyway, because there was a feeling that he might get back to fitness by the end of the year. There was FA Cup games that now you look at that FA Cup game and you're thinking, Gabriel Jesus could play against, Portsmouth, and he can play that game. But he won't be able to play in this game, nor will he be able to play against Kazakhstan side Kairat in late January, when he could really be back and needing some minutes. So I'm a little baffled by the decision, A, not to register him in the first place, and B, not to take up the opportunity now to register him.
I'm wondering if the reason is because there are these are kind of key moments for youth players to step up and things like that, to really rotate squad options, like maybe perhaps Martinelli in more competitive matches. I think that injuries played a big part of that, and I think Arteta might. I'm just completely speculating on this.
Yeah,
obviously.
Of course, that's all we can.
Yeah. But I maybe to come up with some sense to it, that you're looking at the rest of the season and you're going, okay, Gabriel Jesus is going to need to play a role in this team at some point, potentially. I mean, you look at rotation between the left wing mostly, and especially with maybe Trossard is kind of up there in years, and it's looking like maybe there's some issues with his fitness. Maybe they're concerned with, and they're thinking, we can't lose another attacking player because we already have a defensive crisis right now. We need to save him for all, because which is. If that's the case, by the way, if it is that Arteta is saving him for more important games going forward, that's kind of exciting, because I think it says a lot about Gabriel Jesus and what he still has to offer this team.
Yeah.
I mean, we know he's a fantastic player. He's one of the reasons that Arsenal are looked at the way they are right now. That first season he came in with Zinchenko, and as kind of much as the team has kind of moved past them, they're a big reason why we are the way we are. Fantastic players, especially, and know the way Arteta wants to play. So maybe there's an argument that he's saving them for more important games down the road. Is it that he can't play any at all, or is it just the remainder of these kind of group quote unquote stages?
So he can be registered for the knockouts, Jesus.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so he can be registered for the knockouts after this bit. So I imagine we'll finish in the top 8. So
yeah. So remember, and the reason I ask is because remember, and he hasn't played for us in a while. This guy is clutch in the Champions League for us, for Manchester City. He is a big game player when it comes to the Champions League. I'm wondering if we're holding him for those knockout rounds potentially for that reason. I don't know. I mean, we're probably going to see a stronger side, but I'm in terms of scoring in key moments in the Champions League, and you're looking at our bench and you need a goal in the Champions League, you're in the knockout rounds, it's super important. Your entire attacking squad has been extremely, run thin over the course of a season, and you see Gabriel Jesus on the bench. I think that's an extremely viable option. And I don't know if, I don't know if that's just something that you decide as a result of needing the squad to be the way it is. And that didn't really make sense. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I think that I can come up with an argument that Arteta is saving him basically for more important games in the Champions League.
Yeah, I hear the argument, and I think if we're trying to come up with a reason as to why it's not happening, that's probably the best that we can do.
I really don't know. That's the answer.
We don't know. I think this is a mistake. I think it was a mistake not to register him in the first place, and I think if they had the capacity to, which for all intents and purposes, as far as I'm aware, based upon the rules, based upon what we've learned about suffering injuries and replacing players, as Chelsea did with Asugo and Buonanotte, and as Liverpool did with Leone and Chiesa this season, Arsenal could have done it, to the best of my understanding, with Mosquera and now Jesus. So I don't know why they haven't done it. And I absolutely would have done it. And I don't know why they haven't. But there must be a reason that we are unaware of. There must be some sort of thing. Maybe if someone had the power to ask Arteta about it, I don't know who would have that kind of power, then they can maybe ask. Maybe I will.
It's weird. It is weird. And I guess, like I said, you have to go, you have to look at these mental gymnastics you have to make just to come up with a reason why.
Yeah. Maybe I'll ask him. Maybe I will ask him.
If only
someone could. Maybe I'll ask him on Tuesday, because it is an interesting topic, I think, and certainly one worthy of discussion. When there's all this talk about who can play, who can rotate, who's going to get minutes, who needs to be rested. Speaking of which, how on earth are you lining up this team? Because just to give you kind of background on who we expect to be or not to be fit for this game, Saliba potentially could be. There's an open training session on Tuesday lunchtime, so those journalists that aren't going to Belgium will be at that and be able to give you some information. Maybe Charles will be there, not 100% sure. Sometimes he goes. Obviously, we don't have Mosquera, we don't have Havertz, we don't have Gabriel. We know that Calafiori came off, I think, looking pretty shattered. So did Hincapié. Calafiori is suspended for the game against Wolves, though, it's worth pointing out. Timbers played a lot of football. They tried to rest him against Brentford and then couldn't because Mosquera came off injured. Rice has played a hell of a lot of football. Erdegaard's played a lot of football now. Mikel Marino's played a lot of football. So has Saka. We've got Gyökeres back, Madueke back, Martinelli back, Trossard's back. So a lot of players have returned. So how are you setting up this team for Brugge?
I think, let's start with, I think he's going to play Raya. I think he's going to play Raya.
He could play Kepa. Kepa could happily play this game.
He could, but I think he
won't.
He won't.
He could, but he won't.
I think Gyökeres, we can start at the top maybe then. Gyökeres, I think would be a good shout up top. Yeah. I think he needs some some minutes. He needs to beat up on some Belgian team to get some confidence, maybe, hopefully, touch wood. I think the right wing is an interesting one. Maybe we see Madueke start there on the right. I think Saka should get a rest.
Yeah.
I think this is a good one for Madueke. On the left, I would start maybe either Martinelli or Trossard. Yeah. But I think but it's interesting because you also have to think, who do you want to play against Wolves? Luckily,
probably Trossard, to be fair.
I think you'd want Trossard, so maybe Martinelli starts this one. Yeah, and then I think Odegaard you rest. I would play Nwaneri. Play him at the 10. I think Norgard, I don't know why we bought him if we're not going to play him. So play the guy. I think Zubamendi is another one has been played a lot of minutes. And I think
do we bring Marino into the midfield then, like Norgard, Marino, Nwaneri? Is that?
Yeah. So you kind of that would be what I would do. I would like to rest Marino.
Well, he came off at halftime against Villa, to be fair. So he's had a half off.
He did. I would rest him at least. I don't know. I can see maybe. You start him and then pull him off and then put Rice on for the last 20 minutes or 30 minutes.
Or you could go Norgard, Nwaneri, Eza in the third.
Some combination of that, but not the full amount of time. We need to we need to manage minutes in that regard. The back line is I can't believe I'm saying this after the how replete we were with defenders, but the back line, including the left back position, is one that we have a little bit of difficulty with. Maybe Lewis Skelly starts on the left there. But then you have to think he's going to have to play against Wolves. So, but maybe that might be a beneficial thing. Maybe again, half and half or 60-30 between him and Calafiori, depending on, I guess it's going to depend on Calafiori's fitness. I know he was limping after the Villa game. So, but he's not going to be able to play, like you said, against Wolves. So, and then, maybe one of these, I was going to say younger defenders, but they're all young. I mean, maybe it's someone that we, aren't thinking of right now. I don't recall all the youth players that have been registered. So,
Well,
maybe
the
we'll
youth
see.
players don't have to. So O'Dowman is registered on the A list because he's so young that he actually on the B list. So
yeah, Dowman. Maybe we'll see Dowman.
Yeah, I think Dowman will probably come off the bench in this game. Madueke will start. I think we could see Dowman come off the bench for
Totally.
Madueke. But then the likes of Andre Harriman and Noose and these other young guys, they're on the B list. So you only have to register them per game. It's basically saying which players you want to be included
That makes sense.
on the B list. So it'll be all of the under 21s, but a lot of them will be involved in the UEFA Youth League game.
Youth League. Right.
So if Dowman's involved in that, he won't be involved in the main match, so that'll tell us a little bit as well about. But Dowman should absolutely be getting an opportunity here to play some senior football.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps showing again and again that he's just this incredible talent. That I wonder right back. What are we going to do with right back? Timber.
The back four is really interesting. Timber should not play this game.
No.
For me, it should be.
I think it should be White.
White.
Yeah.
Calafiori, Hincapié, Lewis Skelly. That's what I would do.
Yeah, and with Lewis Skelly in the left back position, right?
Yes.
Same.
And then Calafiori and Capi. I mean, Calafiori has played right back for us, so we know he's comfortable in his right foot, the way in which he plays.
Totally.
So I've got no issue playing White, Calafiori. I mean, you could even play White right centre half and play Calafiori right back because he played there. But that shouldn't happen, but that could happen. So yeah, it's. I think that's probably what we'll expect to see, and then Raya, I think, will start, but I'd happily start Kepa in this game.
Oh yeah, I would like to see Kepa as much as much. I don't know. It's weirder with keepers, right? Because obviously they're not as they're not as taxed physically as an outfield player is. But at the same time, maybe give him some time to mentally recuperate. Wolves is a fine game to jump in, but he should be fine. I mean, if he wants to start Raya, I don't see a problem with it. But like you said, Kepa could absolutely start. So if you want to start Kepa.
So last story to discuss in today's show is a story broken by one of my colleagues at Football London and The Mirror, Ryan Taylor, who broke the story today that he understands that Arsenal's soft tissue therapist, Manuel Marcelo Ribeiro, has left the club. Vastly experienced and popular masseur arrived from Chelsea, where he spent 15 years in West London in July of 2024. He was seen very much as a bit of a coup by Arsenal to get him at the time. However, he has departed the club, and this is the important part, to pursue a new business venture.
You mean it's not because of our injuries, Tom?
So, the grapevine suggests, the Illuminati have got involved in this, apparently. They found out some stuff on this guy, and all of a sudden, he's not at the club anymore. No, I'm only...
He was actually going and punching our players in the thighs before the game.
Did you not see him kick Declan Rice before the last... Like, he kicked
Declan Rice. It was like, you wonder what his ankle was? It's because he was forcing Mascara to play one-on-one basketball nonstop. He said it's good. Yeah. He said it's good for the tendons.
He was teaching him
how
to land
makes sense.
wrong. When Mascara jumped, landed, done his ankle, he was being taught to do that. Yeah, we are obviously joking. So don't
land on your ankles. Land on your ankles.
John is a lawyer. He's here to help me in this. This is all a joke.
This is all parody. It's
all
parody.
Very much.
We do not know what we're talking about.
However, let's go into the bit where we do know what we're talking about. So, Ryan's story: Marcelo Ribeiro has left Arsenal, a soft tissue therapist, and obviously Ryan's a colleague of mine, so I reached out to him and spoke to him. I said, you are aware what you have just done. I was just like, what this story is going to do. And he obviously said, I'm already getting kind of replies of that ilk. So just to make it very clear to you all, this decision was taken by the individual. It was not a decision that's been taken by Arsenal. It's a decision taken by him to pursue a new business venture. And it is not because of the number of injuries that Arsenal are getting that he is leaving. You're probably going to see some people out there trying to spread misinformation that this has something to do with that. But the understanding is, as we are aware, as things stand, it is purely an individual decision. It was not to do with Arsenal. If that changes in the future and we find out more and that's different, well, we can discuss it in that kind of ilk then. But the understanding is, as things stand, as it was, and there's nothing to indicate anything otherwise, this was his decision. So there's not really a question I have about this, John, for you. The only question I have got for you on this is that how many conspiracy theories have you seen and laughed at as a result of the injury situation at the club? And what's your favorite one?
There's a lot. And I'll tell you, I get it. Okay. Like, first of all, I get it. You know, it's like causation and correlation, right? Obviously, the biggest thing right now is the injuries. And you look at the injury list we have, and it's kind of unsustainable. Not kind of, it's unsustainable. It is an unsustainable injury record. So, you know, when you're like almost averaging an injury a game, of course, the second you see a departure after injuries have basically functionally caused us to lose against Villa in many regards. Of course, that's going to happen. So I get it. I'd say my favorite is that somehow he was in charge of all of the health related things going on.
The masseuse. It's all
and somehow and like somehow he was responsible for like the loading and advising of Mikel Arteta, and somehow he had the ability to override Arteta's wishes. And you know, and I was going, I don't think you know what a masseuse is. And I don't think you understand Arteta's role and power that he has in, you know, in the decision making process here. So yeah, it's quite funny to see. But again, it's not a hard leap to make when you see, you know, something physical.
Oh, I understand why people are making this leap. Especially like all you need to do is click on Ryan's tweet and you'll see in the reply saying, this guy came from Chelsea to sabotage Arsenal's.
That you know what? That's a pretty good one too. That is a pretty good one.
And I get it, and it's funny, but the reality.
What do you think? What do they think? Like, what kind of sabotage is like happening? Like I said, like, you think he's like not doing good massages?
He's not properly massaging.
yeah. Like this is, you know, and how do you convince everyone that long who are like professional sports people who've like surrounded their lives with this? Like, oh, this is a new technique. You never heard about this. What you're gonna do is, you know, like what I can't even like.
Yeah. Also, he's a soft tissue masseur, like. Mosquera, ankle injury. Odegaard, knee injury. Havertz, knee injury.
And shoulder.
Jesus, knee injury. Madueke, knee injury. The only soft tissue ones we can really kind of talk about is Gabriel, which was an adductor injury he suffered while with the Brazilian national team, who started him in a friendly despite not being fully fit to play. Like, that's nothing to do with him. And if we talk about like Odegaard's other ones, they were shoulder injuries earlier in the season.
Yeah,
the hamstring side of things is where people are going to start to go, well, you know, hamstrings and stuff, Saka's hamstring injury and all this, but that's not to do with a masseuse. That's to do with overplaying players. Like that's
yeah. I don't think this guy. Actually, we can say confidently now. This guy is not the reason we have injuries. This guy is not the reason that any of the injuries are happening. Right? That's not how any of this works.
Yeah, it's just not how any of it works. But some people will, and I already have people tweeting me, like tagging me in Ryan's story saying, look, Tom, look, they're getting rid of the medical staff.
Look, we want to find an explanation for why this is happening. And I get that. We want to, because it's just so, you know, annoying. We want to be able to point to something and say, that's what's causing me to throw, you know, whatever around the house every time there's an injury, or every time you know we want something to point to, a boogeyman to point to.
People love a reason. People need a reason.
They need a reason.
Something. Unfortunately, and I think there are, and I'll discuss this in detail with John, and me and John disagree a little bit on this. You can listen to other John Cross, sorry, not Jon John, JOHN John. On the CN pod, we discussed it and we disagreed slightly on it. And I think there's three avenues really which describe why Arsenal have had the injuries they've had. Avenue one is the amount of games and the overplaying of players. You know, that avenue, the schedule is mental.
Without doubt.
The second one is an area which I think Arteta needs to improve in, which is the in-game management of players, taking players off earlier in games where we're leading, like the Spurs game, where we made one sub before the 88th minute, when we were 4-1 up in the 74th minute. Like that's an area. Not using Norgard, as we've discussed as well. Like these things need to change in order for us to reduce the risk. And the third one is just bad luck. Like, bad luck is, for me, an element. And like, you know that from the injuries that we've suffered. 4 knee injuries. These aren't caused by fatigue They're really unlucky scenarios where you twist wrong, you land wrong, you clash with somebody and your knee bends away it's not meant to. These are really unfortunate. Mosquera's ankle injury is an unfortunate, awkward landing. It's not to do with the number of games he's played. So, you know, it's an area where we just need to be sensible, but one where very much that is not the case when people see these stories. So, yeah, I hope that for those of you that have...
Oh, and for...
go on, 4. What's that? The masseuse.
The masseuse.
Sorry, yes, 4.
Yeah.
The masseuse.
It's like a Guy Ritchie character.
Yeah, the masseuse. Yes, he's responsible for Arsenal's latest title failure. Yeah, 100%. That's what we're going to come back to. It will be a meme. There's no doubt in my mind. Ribeiro will become a meme.
Yeah, he'll have like one of those Dick Dastardly mustaches, you know?
yeah, wacky races, all the
like a Chelsea kit.
yeah. Just like rubbing his hands together as the fire goes down. Yeah.
All according to plan.
It's all gonna cut it excellent. It's the way it's gonna go. Yeah, proper Mr. Burns vibes. But yeah, that brings an end to our discussion. A lot happened in 24 hours. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to do it live, but I hope you've appreciated this pre-record episode. John, thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to catch up and to give your thoughts. Appreciate it. Tell people where they can find you and what you're going to be up to.
Absolutely. You can find me at 305 Casts, and I think it's the same on Blue Sky. I haven't been on there in a bit though. But yeah, I'll be.
You got to commit to Blue Sky. It's like a commitment. Like
I know. It's like I was doing it for a while, and then, like you said, you have to either.
It's hard to break away from Twitter. It's really hard to break away.
I've tried.
It's really difficult. It's not a nice place to be. I'd rather it didn't exist. Actually, not. I'd rather it didn't exist. I'd rather it exist in its previous form. That's what I'd rather.
Twitter
before you know who took over, it was fine. Well, it wasn't fine. It wasn't great, but it was far better than it is these days.
Yeah. So, and I'm going to be putting something together. So it's, there's stuff going.
Lovely stuff. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in and joining us. Really do appreciate it. I'll be back with you with a genuine live show from Bruges on Wednesday morning. So make sure you look out for that. We'll have a preview of the game, reaction to Mikel Arteta's press conference, which is taking place on Tuesday evening alongside one of the players. I know who it is. I just can't tell you who it is at the moment for obvious reasons. But I look forward to hearing from them. They could have a big part to play in the rest of this season. So it'll be interesting to hear what they've got to say about the recent result against Villa and, of course, the rotation in their particular position as well. So look out for that. All of the updates will be provided on the football.london website and, of course, in the Mirror as well. But yeah, thank you for listening. Drop a like, subscribe, stay safe, stay well, stay happy and respectful. And as always, up the Arsenal.